The death of King Edward II of England remains one of the most controversial events in British history. Was he murdered, as many believe? Or did he escape his captors and live out his days in hiding? The circumstances surrounding his demise are shrouded in mystery and intrigue, leaving historians to puzzle over the truth for centuries. Edward's reign was marked by political turmoil, rebellion, and ultimately, his own violent downfall. The story of Edward II is a tragic tale of a king who faced opposition from his own barons and even his wife, Queen Isabella. His close relationship with Piers Gaveston, a Gascon knight, aroused jealousy and suspicion among the powerful earls of England. Edward's reign was plagued by conflict and rebellion, eventually leading to his capture and imprisonment. The manner of his death, however, remains a subject of intense debate. Edward II ascended the throne in 1307, inheriting a kingdom already burdened by financial strain and political unrest. His father, Edward I, known as the Hammer of the Scots, had left a legacy of military conquest but also a legacy of debt. Edward II, unlike his warlike father, was perceived as weak and easily influenced, particularly by his favorite, Piers Gaveston. Gaveston, a charismatic but ambitious figure, quickly rose to prominence in Edward's court, sparking resentment among the powerful barons who viewed him as an upstart. The barons, led by the Earl of Lancaster, demanded Gaveston's exile. Edward reluctantly agreed but later recalled his favorite, further inflaming tensions with the nobility. The conflict between the king and his barons escalated into open warfare, weakening Edward's authority and destabilizing the kingdom. In 1308, Edward II married Isabella of France, the daughter of King Philip IV. The marriage was intended to strengthen ties between England and France, but it would ultimately contribute to Edward's downfall. Isabella, known for her beauty and intelligence, initially supported her husband. However, as Edward's reign became increasingly chaotic, she grew disillusioned. Enter Roger Mortimer, a discontented baron with his own ambitions. Mortimer, who had escaped imprisonment by Edward, formed a close relationship with Isabella in France. Together they plotted Edward's overthrow, using the king's unpopularity and the growing resentment against his rule to their advantage. Isabella and Mortimer became the figureheads of a rebellion that would ultimately topple Edward from his throne. In 1326, Isabella and Mortimer, with the support of exiled English barons, invaded England. Edward's forces were quickly overwhelmed, and the king was forced to flee London with his remaining supporters. They attempted to escape to Ireland but were driven back by storms and eventually captured. Edward, now a prisoner of his own queen and her lover, was imprisoned first at Kenilworth Castle and later at Berkeley Castle in Gloucestershire. In January 1327, under duress and facing the threat of his young son being crowned in his place, Edward II was forced to abdicate the throne. His son, Edward III, a mere boy of 14, was proclaimed king. However, the real power behind the throne was not the young king, but rather Roger Mortimer, who effectively ruled England as regent. The deposed Edward II, now a liability to the new regime, was kept under close guard, his fate uncertain. The exact circumstances of Edward II's death are shrouded in mystery and speculation. The official record states that he died of natural causes while imprisoned at Berkeley Castle on September 21, 1327. However, rumors quickly spread that the former king had been murdered, possibly on the orders of Mortimer, who feared a potential uprising to restore Edward to the throne. One chronicler, Adam of Miramuth, wrote that Edward was murdered cruelly at Berkeley Castle. The most persistent account of his death, popularized by the chronicler Raphael Holinshed in the 16th century, describes a gruesome scene in which assassins held Edward down while a red-hot poker was inserted into his anus, leaving no outward marks. This method of assassination, intended to be both agonizing and undetectable, has become ingrained in popular imagination, though its veracity remains unconfirmed. Berkeley Castle, an imposing medieval fortress overlooking the River Severn, became the focal point of the mystery surrounding Edward II's death. The castle's grim history and its association with the deposed king have fueled centuries of speculation and paranormal investigations. Some believe that Edward's ghost still haunts the castle, a testament to the violence and intrigue that marked his final days. The room where Edward was allegedly murdered is said to be haunted by his anguished spirit. Visitors have reported hearing screams, cold spots, and a feeling of unease within the castle walls. Whether these are genuine paranormal occurrences or simply the power of suggestion fueled by the castle's dark history remains a matter of debate. Regardless, Berkeley Castle stands as a tangible reminder of the tumultuous events that unfolded within its walls and the enduring mystery of Edward II's demise. The alleged plot to murder Edward II likely involved a number of individuals, each with their own motives for wanting the deposed king silenced. Roger Mortimer, the de facto ruler of England, had the most to gain from Edward's death, as it eliminated the possibility of a restoration and secured his own grip on power. Others suspected of complicity include Lord Berkeley, the constable of the castle, and William de Ockley, Edward's keeper. The method of Edward's death, if indeed he was murdered, was likely intended to leave no visible marks, making it appear as if he had died from natural causes. The red-hot poker story, while gruesome and widely circulated, is just one of several theories. Some historians believe Edward may have been suffocated or poisoned, methods that would have been equally effective in concealing foul play. Following Edward II's death, his son, Edward III, remained on the throne, but it was Roger Mortimer who continued to wield the true power. Mortimer, now Earl of March, ruled with an iron fist, amassing wealth and influence. However, his ambition and ruthlessness ultimately proved to be his downfall. In 1330, Edward III, now of age and eager to assert his own authority, led a coup against Mortimer. Mortimer was arrested, charged with treason, and executed. Edward III, now free from Mortimer's control, embarked on a reign that would transform England into a major European power. He launched successful military campaigns against Scotland and France, marking the beginning of the 100 Years' War. Edward III's reign, in stark contrast to his father's, was one of military glory and national unity. Despite the passage of centuries, the mystery of Edward II's death continues to fascinate and intrigue. The gruesome stories associated with his demise, and the possibility that he was murdered on the orders of his own wife and her lover, have secured his place in popular imagination as a tragic and sympathetic figure. Berkeley Castle, the site of his alleged murder, remains a popular destination for those seeking to connect with the past, and perhaps catch a glimpse of the king's restless spirit. Edward II's reign, though marked by conflict and instability, also saw significant cultural and architectural developments. He was a patron of the arts and oversaw the construction of several notable buildings, including parts of Westminster Abbey. However, it is the manner of his death, shrouded in secrecy and whispered rumors, that continues to define his legacy. Despite the wealth of historical accounts and chronicles, definitive proof of Edward II's murder remains elusive. The official records, likely manipulated by those in power, claim he died of natural causes. However, the speed with which his death was announced, the rumors that spread throughout Europe, and the lack of a proper investigation all point to a possible cover-up. Modern historians continue to debate the evidence, examining chronicles, letters, and archaeological findings for clues. Some argue that the weight of circumstantial evidence strongly suggests foul play, while others maintain that the possibility of Edward's survival, though unlikely, cannot be entirely ruled out. The mystery of Edward II's death, like many historical enigmas, may never be definitively solved, leaving room for speculation and debate for generations to come. Edward II's story is a cautionary tale of the dangers of weak leadership, political maneuvering, and the abuse of power. He was a king ill-suited to the challenges of his time, caught between the demands of his barons and his own personal inclinations. His close relationships with favorites like Piers Gaveston, while genuine, were politically disastrous, alienating the very men he needed to maintain his authority. In death, Edward II became a symbol of royal vulnerability and the brutality of medieval politics. His alleged murder serves as a chilling reminder of the precariousness of power and the lengths to which people will go to secure it. Though his reign was short and troubled, Edward II's story continues to resonate, reminding us that even kings, once considered divinely appointed, were not immune to the whims of fate and the machinations of their enemies.